PYC1501. This is our fourth session. We started with human nervous system in impulse conduction as well as structures and function. We also did sensation and perception. Today is the state of consciousness, the nature of consciousness. So the fourth chapter in the book, one of the most important chapters, the state of consciousness. Before we continue, we firstly need to discuss to show our understanding regarding the nature of consciousness. What is consciousness? What's your understanding of the term consciousness? State of consciousness. So the nature of consciousness, when you see the term consciousness, what comes into your mind? That's the question. Therefore, the nature of consciousness, it says to be conscious means to be aware. To be conscious means to be aware. So the information that I'm going to be presenting to you, you'll find in your study materials, in your recommended book as well. And you'll notice that now and again, I will answer some assignment questions through the discussion. I won't give you questions. I won't highlight any questions. However, through my discussion, you'll find that your answers your questions will be answered. Number one, consciousness is to be conscious means to be aware. To be aware, being in a state of awareness. A state of clear and organized alertness. A state of clear and organized alertness. State of consciousness change when people are tired. The state of consciousness changes when people are tired under hypnosis and not experiencing the effects of drugs. Lastly, consciousness can be determined through the level of arousal, whether from high to low level of arousal. E.g., if it's happened that you have a head injury, brain injury, then you go to coma or you are unconscious, this leads to low level of alertness and awareness. Emotional intensity means high level of arousal. So let's start from the beginning. They say consciousness. In what states would you say you are unconscious and conscious? Let's look back. When you are asleep, your body is in the relaxation mode. You are relaxed. Your senses in that particular moment, they are not connected to anything. Everything is in a low level of consciousness, low level of alertness, because we are asleep. We say to be conscious means to be aware. However, as soon as someone wakes you up, or something triggers your brain and suddenly you wake up, then we can easily say you are conscious, you are aware. I touch you right now, then you react to my touch, meaning you are conscious, you are aware of something. Your body senses can detect that there is a touch. There is some stimuli that is trying to trigger my mind, my body. A state of clear and organized alertness. When they say the state of clear and organized alertness, like right now, I'm speaking to you, you can hear my voice, you can see the slides, meaning it's one of the organized alertness. You are more clear, you are more focused. Your alertness is organized. It is not an automatic response. It's not a surprise. Unless I touch you from your back or you hear a loud noise from the outside, then you react. Or you experience what? Stomach grumbling, stomach making noise. That will be, again, it's a reflex. You didn't expect that, however, you can feel it, meaning as soon as you feel it, you are alert. So state of consciousness is triggered by external things as well as the internal things. Internal things, the movement in your body, the changes in your body. If you could say now, I'm experiencing headache, meaning you are alert that you're experiencing headache. Your body, your mind will tell you that something wrong with your body. There's certain parts in the brain will tell you, you sense if it's a pain, they trigger the pain, then you can feel that no, the pain is in the stomach, the pain is in the head. That is alertness from the inside. The feeling of hunger is alertness from the inside. The need to go to the toilet is alertness from the inside. However, alertness from the outside, like I said, you can hear my voice, meaning your brain is cautious because you're focused on the class. I touch you, you're alert. There's lights. You can differentiate between dark and light, meaning your brain is alert. So alertness is a state of being cautious of something. A state of consciousness change when people are tired. They say state of consciousness change when people are tired. As we're conducting the class right now, you find that you're too exhausted to participate. You're too exhausted, or you're writing an exam for the first hour, second hour, you feel like, no, I can't concentrate now. That's why you lose what? The state of consciousness. You need to take a break in order to revitalize your brain. You can easily say your brain is tired. Once your brain is tired, you lose concentration. Losing concentration is equal to losing consciousness. You won't be able to think properly. Or when you're under hypnosis, we'll explain hypnosis further. Your brain becomes unconscious or changes when you are under hypnosis. We'll break down the term hypnosis in the next few slides, or experiencing the effects of drugs. The effects of drugs could be alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, hardcore drugs, the white powder, the pills. Take for instance, now you're cautious, you're focused. Suddenly when you take a stimulant, some people smoke in order to enhance their brain. Some people smoke to feel relaxed. For instance, cigarettes makes you to relax. Smoking marijuana makes you to hallucinate cigarettes, meaning your state of concentration might change. Not might change, it will change. Because the effect of drug is to stimulate the mind to change. You smoke cocaine, it will change. You smoke alcohol, you lose certain aspects of consciousness. Hence, when you drink too much, tomorrow people will remind you, you did 1, 2, 3. You say, me? You know, you did 1, 2, 3. See, yeah, you did 1, 2, 3. Meaning, due to too much consumption of alcohol, you lost what? Your state of consciousness. You lost awareness due to drugs. You lose it. You can't focus clearly. Lastly, consciousness can be determined through the level of arousal. So the level of arousal is the extent to which how we are excited. The excitement awareness from the low to high. Your state of awareness. Like now, we are concentrating on the class. Exams are coming, you are more focused. Perhaps some of you are writing 5 modules. So you try by all means to go to work, study, go to work, study. Your brain is all on high alert because you're writing exam. You can't lose focus now. That means your level of arousal is high. Your level of arousal is high. But as soon as you get exhausted due to workload, will automatically say low level of arousal. That's why you find it difficult to focus. However, here they give you an example. They say, when you experience a brain injury, you lose focus. Someone hits you with a brick. On a hit, you lose focus. You got into a car accident, your head bumps the steering wheel, you lose focus instantly. So here is the most sensitive part of your body. Once it gets injured or it hits a certain object hard, suddenly you lose consciousness. When you're in coma, you can't feel anything, you can't see anything. Only the organs work. The organs will be mostly your heart, lungs, your kidneys. Only the internal organs work when you're in coma, but your brain cannot connect to anything. They say unconsciousness leads to low level of arousal. When you're in coma or there's head injury, which affects the brain. We automatically say low level of awareness, arousal, and alertness. Emotional intensity means high level of arousal. They say emotional intensity means high level of arousal. When you're experiencing emotional intensity, most of the time you are aware what you're experiencing. You are hearing the bad news. Those news are too much. You get a call as someone close to you has passed away due to car accident of some sort. Then it hits you, meaning your level of arousal could go high because you can't resist the level of stress. When you are stressed, your blood pressure goes high, your heart rate goes high, meaning your level of arousal goes high. When you are too excited, same applies. The emotional intensity, level of arousal goes high until you start to relax. Then the emotional intensity go low. Then it says the nature of sleep. The nature of sleep, we can't discuss consciousness without touching on sleep. Sleep and consciousness, they relate. Like I've said, when you're in coma, meaning you have low consciousness. When you're asleep, that's where you can determine your level of consciousness. So sleep is an important concept in order for us to understand consciousness. Let's start here. Sleep is not a lack of consciousness. They say sleep is not a lack of consciousness. However, they say here, remember I said in the beginning, when you are asleep, that means your body does not react to anything. Your nervous system, your nerves, your neurons that do not connect to anything. I said that in the beginning. However, here they say sleep is not the lack of consciousness, meaning according to this psychological view, sleep is not the lack of consciousness. When you are asleep, you are still conscious. Why are they saying that? They say when you are asleep, you are still conscious. You are still aware. Your body is in an alertness level. How? Then let's read further. They say the brain actively maintains sleep through psychological measurement of brain activity. The brain actively maintains sleep through physiological measurement of brain activity. This is called electroencephalogram. Electroencephalogram, the EEG. The brain actively maintains sleep through physiological measurement. Physiological measurement is the movement of the body internally of the brain activity. That is called EEG, in full electroencephalogram. Meaning you imagine a device in your brain. It's not a device, but imagine a sort of a device in your brain that determines your sleeping pattern. Your brain works. That's why when I wake you up, suddenly you will feel that something is touching you. That's why when you dream, at times you even jump. When you hear the knock, you become more alert. When you pee your bed, you become more alert. Any changes, if you are sleeping with someone, suddenly it touches you during the sleep, you become aware. That's what they're saying. They say the brain actively maintains sleep through physiological measurement of the brain activity. That's electroencephalogram, the EEG. They say the brain waves are determined in 4 ways through the EEG. The brain waves are in 4 ways to coordinate the sleep, to maintain the sleeping pattern. Firstly, we have what you call delta wave. The delta wave, here's the delta wave. You see it's a bit thick. Delta wave is a bit thick compared to theta, alpha, and beta. Delta wave, which have a high amplitude and a frequency of 0.5 to 3 Hz. Delta waves, which has a high amplitude and frequency. So they say the delta wave has a high amplitude as well as the frequency of 0.5 to 3 Hz. So what you need to focus on here regarding delta wave is as high amplitude and the frequency of 0.5 to 3 Hz. That's it. That's what you need to focus on. High amplitude and frequency. We'll break it down. What do they mean by delta wave here? Then theta is slightly slower. They say slightly slower, irregular amplitude. You see, in some patterns it's smaller, others is bigger. Hence they say irregular amplitude and frequency of 4 to 8 hertz. Alpha waves, which has a medium amplitude and a frequency of 8 to 12 hertz. Beta waves, which has a low amplitude and a frequency of 13 to 18. What does these waves mean? How can we associate this wave generally in reality? How can we make sense of this wave? Then they explain it here. They say the EEG provides some indication of arousal level during the wakefulness and sleep. The EEG determines the level of arousal during when you are awake and when you are asleep. They say these waves determines whether they are associated with a person who is asleep and a person who's awake. How do they associate them? They are most alpha waves. These are alpha waves, which have a medium amplitude and frequency of 8 to 12. They are most alpha waves when people are awake and relaxed. When you are awake and relaxed, particularly if they have their eyes closed. They are most alpha waves when people are awake and relaxed, particularly if they have their eyes closed. You will find yourself relaxing in your couch. You are not asleep, however, your eyes are closed. You are in a relaxation mode, or in your bed when you're trying to catch some sleep. Meaning you follow under alpha waves. You are awake, relaxed, particularly with your eyes closed. But as soon as people pay attention to things happening around, but as soon as you pay attention to things that are happening around, perhaps your phone rings, perhaps someone is making some noises, or the check water, a doorbell ring, suddenly you become aware. They say, but as soon as people pay attention to things happening around them, beta waves replace the alpha wave. As soon as you pay attention to things that happen around you, then you are no more under alpha, but you're at beta wave. Beta wave, now you're awake. Your eyes are open. They say alpha waves, when people are awake, relaxed, particularly when their eyes are closed. However, beta wave, as soon as you are more cautious, you pay attention to things that are happening around you, maybe you become awake due to the phone call, we say beta wave, which is the alpha wave. As people become drowsy and fall asleep. However, as you become drowsy and you fall asleep, that's that nice sense of sleep when you are sitting in your car, in your bed, you start feeling drowsy. There are more data waves. Yeah. When you're feeling drowsy, the overwhelming that is data wave. They say different types of sleep are characterized by different types of brain waves. So data wave, when you're drowsy, there's a need to sleep. Alpha, when you're relaxed, awake and relaxed with your eyes closed. Then beta, you pay attention to what's happening around you, meaning you are fully aware with your eyes are open. Then beta, we can easily say, you see its amplitude. We can easily say this is where people are asleep. They didn't explain it, but I think they explain it in the next slide. Let's move on. The nature of sleep. So they are continuing with sleep, the nature of sleep, the sleeping patterns. We have S-sleep. S-sleep, they say during S-sleep, the wave pattern are synchronized. During S-sleep, the wave pattern are synchronized in high amplitude and low frequency. High amplitude and low frequency. Let's go back and check which one is the high amplitude and low frequency. It's delta waves. Delta wave, where you are drowsy. That is where, as people become drowsy and fall asleep, they are more on delta wave. This is delta wave, high amplitude and low frequency. High amplitude and low frequency. When people are asleep, they say S sleep, restful sleep, waves are synchronized. S here stands for synchronized. Synchronized sleep. S sleep, restful sleep, wave pattern are synchronized, high amplitude, low frequency, you are asleep. However, there are phases of sleep within the S sleep. You start by phase one. Phase one, the state of drowsiness, slight sleep. The state of drowsiness, slight sleep. As I explained, you're sitting on your car, relaxing back from work, in your couch, on a bed, you are drowsy. That's nice, overwhelming need to sleep. Now, like in people, you remind me, go to sleep. Go to sleep. No, I don't want to go to sleep. I'm awake. I'm fresh. But they can see you. Your eyes are drowsy. Light sleep. Then phase two. Deep sleep. 10 minutes later. Follows 10 minutes later. That's how you sleep. You go to bed. You blues for seconds. You become drowsy. As they say, light sleep, suddenly deep sleep. It follows immediately 10 minutes later. That's a normal sleep. 10 minutes later, gone. You are asleep. Phase three, deep sleep. The person is very relaxed. Autonomic activity slow down. They say the person is very relaxed. Autonomic nervous system slow down. When they say autonomic nervous system slow down, they're referring to your body changes, your physiological changes. That your heart is more relaxed. Your breathing rate is more relaxed because you're asleep. Your blood pressure is low because you're not interacting with anything. That is deep sleep. The person is very relaxed. Autonomic activity slows down. That's where perhaps even when there's a knock, you can't even hear it. You need dreamland. Then 4, a very deep sleep, difficult to root the person out of sleep. Difficult to wake the person in the state. A very deep sleep. This is a type of sleep that you experience normally 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. When you have to work, when you have to wake up and go to work. That's a type of sleep, the nice, very deep sleep, difficult to rouse the person out of sleep. Almost dead. You see, this is the pattern. Firstly, phase 1, you become drowsy. After 10 minutes, you say deep sleep, immediately you sleep. Later in few minutes, normally the person is very relaxed, autonomic activity slow down. There's nothing can be done here. The person is gone, asleep. They say a very deep sleep here it's even difficult to wake up the person. Very deep sleep. Their senses are at low level of arousal. Your senses can't detect anything for that particular moment. So they're trying to explain here. They say the person can still, in this phase, the person can still be easily aroused, but the body is relaxed. The heart rate slows down and breathing deep and regularly. After 10 minutes, they say the body mechanism is almost shuts down. It reduces the sensitivity of the sensory. It reduces the sensitivity of the sensory. Sensory, remember, is the receiving end of information. When I touch you, you receive information through the sensory. As I talk to you now, you receive information through sensory. Then firstly, they say to you, a person is very relaxed, autonomic nervous system slows down, very deep sleep. Almost half of the EEG works. Then the last one, very deep sleep. If people, they say in this phase, a very deep sleep, difficult to rouse the person out of sleep. They further say, if people are waking up during this stage, if you try to wake a person during this stage, They wake up what? Confused. Their speech is blurry. Their motor coordination is poor. Particularly kids, when you wake them up during this phase, Siabonga, wake up, Sia, wake up. Time to go to school. They wake up almost feeling dizzy. They're not sure what's happening around them. Even at times you pick them up, suddenly they go back to bed. Their speech becomes blurry. You can't hear what they're saying. Their motor coordination is so weak, they can't feel anything. That is phase 4. Then we move to 1.2, amplitude and high frequency. Let's check low amplitude and high frequency. Low amplitude here and high frequency. Here they say medium amplitude, also high frequency, meaning the person is around these phases, alpha and beta. Let's check. Deep sleep. Deep sleep, decrossonal sleep, low amplitude and high frequency. Dreaming, rapid eye movement. This is the stage where dreaming happens. This is the stage where most of the dreaming happens. They say this is another type of sleep called deep sleep because the wave is desynchronized and low amplitude and high frequency. This is actually the same pattern that characterizes wakefulness, although the person is asleep. Although a person is asleep in this phase, this is the type of sleep where dreaming most takes place. The dreamland. Most of the dreaming takes place during this synchronized sleep dreaming phase. There are rapid eye movement. They say rapid eye. The EEG, this EEG, the one that detects sleep. Let me try to be practical. The EEG is more like those machines they use in the hospital, especially a person when is in coma. You know those machines, they detect the heart rate, the movement of organs in your body. When you call those machines, normally you see in the television when they try to indicate the sound, it means that the person is getting unconscious. The smoother, the slow the sound, meaning the person is awake. You know those machines, you call them is type of an EEG system that determine your brain activity in relation to your organs, your heart, your breathing rate. The EEG machines. Most of the time when a person, there's a problem with the person, then the machine indicates, because the doctors, they can't see the inside of the person, so the machine indicates tee, 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 tee. So they know the pattern. Mostly when it beeps quick, faster, it means the person is losing consciousness. However, when it beeps slow, there's high level of consciousness. Same applies to dreaming. They say when you dream, there's rapid eye movement. There's eye movement. You can't see because you are asleep. But inside your eyes, the eyes move when you are asleep. Because you are trying to relate to the dream. You connect to the dream. Yeah, and if the dream is too intense, you even wake up suddenly. If the dream is nice, you can even smile on a dream. And that's why they say sleeping does not mean that you lack consciousness. There is the level of consciousness, particularly during this phase of dreaming phase. They say rapid eye movement. When you dream, your eyes will move, depend on how intense is the dream. There's rapid eye movement. During the sleep, during the sleep, there are rapid eye movements, even though the eyes are closed. It's sometimes called REM, rapid eye movement. Muscle tone is very low during the sleep. Your muscle tone is very low, meaning your movement. The sleeper is unable to move. However, people are awakened from this sleep. However, people are easily awakened in this sleep. They say, however, in this stage, compared to this sleep, compared to the last phase of sleep, they say it is difficult to arouse the person during sleep. It's difficult to wake people in this form of sleep, phase 4. Here, the additional scholar sleep is easy to wake up a person during dreaming phase. That's why most of the time, as soon as the dream finishes, we wake up. Or in the middle of the dream, we wake up, depending how intense the dream. We either wake up in the middle of the dream before the dream finishes, or the dream has to finish and gives you pleasure. Then you start to wake up. They say, it's easy to wake up a person during this phase because you are more focused. You interact with the environment in your mind. They are instant awake, know what's happening around them. And as soon as you are awake from sleep, you won't experience things like being confused. Your speech is blurry. Suddenly, when you wake up from the dreaming phase, you are cautious. You can wake up soon and go to the toilet. Cautious is much quicker. You can wake up, sit and switch on the lights. Unlike when you wake up in this phase, we are more confused. Here, you are more awake. So you can indicate that. The transitional sleep is your mind is conscious. You are interacting with your dream. Then they say to us functions of dream. 1.1.3, the functions of dream. We have cognitive theory as well as neurological perspective. How did they get to this, the functions of sleep? They say no one is really sure what the functions of sleep are. If I can ask you now, what is the functions of sleep? Most you say your mind needs to relax, your body, your brain needs to relax, which is, you are correct. Most of the function of the sleep is to relax. They say various theories have been suggested, for example, that regard sleep as a period of restoration. Some they say sleep is a period of restoration, refreshing, restoration, reconnecting, reactivating the brain as having survival function. It is generally believed that sleep is essential for normal functioning. Sleep deprivation is a form of stress. Hence, insomnia, when you're experiencing insomnia constantly, now and again, you are also advised to consult a doctor. Or nowadays, you can even Google. Information is always there. You Google what causes insomnia. You'll find that certain food that you eat before you sleep, like caffeine, your digestive system eating late, perhaps, then go to sleep stressed. Maybe your pillow, your bed is not conducive for your body. You can't relax. Remember, in order for you to sleep, you need to relax. When you're stressed, meaning your mind is not relaxed, it's on a high level of arousal. You need to be in a low level of arousal in order for you to sleep. They say sleep deprivation is a form of stress, can have negative effect on the concentration and coping ability. The effect of sleep deprivation also vary according to persons' physical and mental health. Two theories on the function of sleep are discussed. So these are the two theories on the function of sleep. They're trying to break down why do we sleep? What happens actually when you are asleep? It's theory under cognitive theory and neurological theory. See, cognitive is more of thinking, knowing, understanding, the reasoning parts. Whereas neurobiological is physical, neuron and biology is physical. Let's start with cognitive theory. Firstly, they touch on REM, rapid eye movement, the dreaming phase. What do they say? They say, according to cognitive theory, REM allows the brain to withdraw from the outside world and reorganize the millions of bits of information collected during the day. The information is not merely lost, merely reorganized in a more meaningful way. So according to cognitive theory, say the reason people sleep, the reason why we dream, the brain is trying to reorganize information. Remember, during the day, it was hectic. From the morning, you were driving, you were studying, interacting with people, interacting with, trying to manage your work. You are on social media. You are trying to finish the house chores, do your work. Your brain doesn't get rest. Now and again, you are under pressure to submit. There are deadlines. Then when you sleep, they say your brain reorganize all that information to refresh your mind. It's like when you refresh the computer to make it work. Even your phone, they say restart your phone in order to work effectively. Same applies to cognitive theory, RM. They say we dream because the brain is trying to reorganize information in a more meaningful way. Meaning there's information that is not necessary and information that is necessary. During the day, there are important things that you do. There are unnecessary things that you experience, you hear. Then your brain will reorganize that information. If the unnecessary information will be forgotten, the necessary information will stay in your mind until there's a need to retrieve that particular information. Let's say you're studying, currently you're studying for the purpose of exam. You do write your exam, then in the later stage, you forgot the meaning of sleep, you forgot the meaning of the sleep. However, because it's needed now, that's where your brain will try to retrieve the information, meaning it's not necessary for that particular moment until it's needed. Then the neurobiological perspective, which is physical, they say it is based on the neural network. It's based on the neural network. The neural network, as you can see, neuron. It's based on the neural network. The neuron, you think of the nerves that passes information throughout the body from the brain, spinal cord, and the muscles that supports the memory. They say nervous system that supports the memory. The context is an anonymous number of interconnection, and the theory holds the memory information in an encoding system. Yes, they say your brain and your spinal cord is connected by what? By the neurons, the nerves that transport information from the in and out. Millions of neurons from the in and out. The neuron and also the brain serve for different purposes. In this instance, we are referring to memory. The function of the brain, they say, neural network that supports the memory. Then they say the dreaming phase. They also talk about the dreaming phase. RNE sleep is suggested as the mechanism for cleaning up the network by deleting unnecessary information. So here, the neuron and biological perspective, according to this, they say we dream because the brain is trying to delete unnecessary information. Information from where? From your memory. Structures in your brain that are responsible for memory, short-term memory and long-term memory. So it's dreaming phase, they're trying to delete the unnecessary information and remain the necessary information. That's what they're saying. Then they explain again, they say, for this, be encouraged to remember their dreams because they actually contain information that the brain wants to get rid of. According to the psychology, they say you are not encouraged to try to remember dreams, mainly because the brain is trying to get rid of the unnecessary information. That's what they are saying, the neurobiological perspective. Interesting. Then we have what? 1.1.4, the sleep disorders. The sleep disorders, we experience several sleep disorders. One of the sleep disorder, the most popular one is insomnia. Insomnia puts it straight to the point, the inability to sleep. The inability to sleep due to several reasons. They say this may refer to difficulty falling asleep at night, waking in the middle of the night, and being unable to get back to sleep. Waking up very early in the morning without having slept enough. That is insomnia. Experience difficulties to sleep. Could be due to stress, what you have eaten or drank before you sleep, because your mind is not relaxed. Anything that stimulates your mind, like perhaps drinking Power Plus before you sleep, suddenly you lose your emotions, not your emotions. You have a high arousal, which causes sleeping difficulties. Narcolepsy. Narcolepsy, overwhelming need to sleep, is an opposite of insomnia. Narcolepsy, overwhelming need to sleep. They say narcolepsy is the term used for symptoms of sleep that occur during wakefulness. And a narcoleptic attack is an overwhelming need to sleep. It can happen at any time, usually lasts for a few minutes. They say it can happen anytime, usually lasts for a few minutes. This is the type of sleep that you are talking to a person right now, suddenly the person is asleep. You're in a discussion, suddenly the person is asleep. You're sitting in the chair, holding your phone, suddenly, boom, you're asleep. That overwhelming nice need to sleep, that is narcolepsy. It's like you're collapsing, narcolepsy, collapsing. Overwhelming need to sleep. Then there's the catalepsy, a sudden collapse. They say when a person is awake but unable to move, it is usually triggered by the intense emotional experience, sudden movement. Another symptom of catalepsy is sleep paralysis that occurs just before falling asleep and waking in the morning. The person is awake but unable to move, but paralysis ends when they are touched or called. During this paralysis, they may have a sort of a dream called hypnagogic hallucinations. Okay, let me repeat. This is a bit intense. Catalepsy, a sudden collapse. A sudden collapse normally happens when they say when a person is awake but unable to move. You are awake but you are unable to move. Normally when you experience a shock. Normally when you experience a shock. Perhaps to see someone that you've been longing for to see. Let's assume that either you lose connection with your loved ones, you lose connection with your family, kids, or your partner for almost 5 years. Then it happens suddenly that you need to meet. You are not aware that you'll meet this person. Suddenly you are in the airport, you see this person. There's that shock that you'll experience. That shock, they say, a sudden collapse. When a person is awake but unable to move, you freeze. Your brain freeze. It is usually triggered by an intense emotional experience or sudden movement, or someone that you trust and it does something that you didn't expect. You freeze. A sudden collapse. Your brain freezes for a particular moment. They say this happens until someone touches you. Someone, what's happening? See ya. Intensity. You can use different experiences. The experience that I can think of now is if there's someone that you respect so much, someone that you're close to, and does something that you unexpected. When you watch Cheaters, they show Cheaters. Now and again, you go to Cheaters, you report, you hire a private investigator. Someone is cheating on you, only to find perhaps that your husband is cheating with your sister. It's suddenly you hear those news. That's where catalyst happens, the sudden collapse, the shock. That out of all people, my sister, you get shocked. Some even collapse. So that's a sudden catalyst. Some is due to some form of disorders. Yes, they say another symptom of catalyst is a sleep paralysis that occur just before falling asleep or waking in the morning. The person is awake but unable to move. But the paralysis ends when the person is touched or called. Then the further say during paralysis, they may have a sort of a dream called hypnagogic hallucination. So there are certain moments whereby we wake you up during this deep sleep. We wake you up during deep sleep, you stand. We wake you up, mostly the kids. We wake them up to try to assist them to stand on their feet. However, they're standing on their feet, but their mind is not here. The person is awake but unable to move. But the paralysis will end when the person is touched, or when you're experiencing a very bad dream. You're trying to move away from the dream, but you can't. Then someone touches you, like you're experiencing a nightmare. Then the last one is sleep apnea. Sleep apnea, a condition of breathing difficulty during sleep. It refers to the condition of breathing difficulties during sleep. People with this condition wake up gasping for breath, then go back to sleep. Do you know those people? When you are asleep, you sleep next to them, suddenly, then they go back to sleep. Especially when your sleeping pattern is not proper. The way you sleep is not proper. Perhaps your neck is not in a good condition, or your body is not in a good condition. So when you try to breathe, meaning you try to gasp for air because you're experiencing breathing difficulties, your neck is not positioned correctly on the pillow. So the more you breathe, the more you experience sleep difficulty. Then you wake up and gasp for air and sleep properly. The problem is that sleep frequency is disrupted. The person is experiencing a form of sleep deprivation. So it could be that your sleeping pattern is abnormal and the frequent distraction during your sleep. So before we continue, we go to hypnosis. Let me check my students. Yeah, now a huge number of students. Bunolo is still here, Busiso is still here, Maria is here as well. Domfuti, okay, so Tony Paul is back, Amanda, Michelle, Maseha. Thanks guys for joining us again. I can see Sangelan is still here. Thanks guys for joining us. The topic for today is the nature of sleep, the state of consciousness, the nature of sleep. So before I continue, do you have any questions or elaborations? Do you want me to clarify certain points? The state of consciousness is one of the detailed chapter, something new to all of us. So feel free to ask questions that relate to sleep or elaborations, or if you can relate to some of these concepts. We have mentioned sleep apnea, we have mentioned catalepsy, narcolepsy, some form of insomnia. If you have a general question, feel free to ask. You can see here that you raise your hand. Once you're done answering, you lower your hand. So feel free, this is your class. I'm waiting for your questions. Questions related to the first part of discussion, the dreaming phase, the deep sleep, sleep, the function of sleep, the delta waves. Question, guys? Elaborations. If there are no questions, I will continue. So the next part of discussion is hypnosis. Hypnosis, the most interesting part of the discussion, hypnosis. Sleep and hypnosis. When we speak of consciousness, sleep. We can't discuss sleep without touching on hypnosis. And the question is, what do you understand about the term hypnosis? When you say someone is being hypnotized, hypnosis. Hypnosis are situations in which people's behavior are involuntary or hypnotic. You see, are situations in which people's behavior are involuntary or hypnotic. This is done through the process called increased suggestibility in the context of special relationship between the person and hypnotist. Hypnotized people can walk around and respond to things in the real world. A person has to be willing to be hypnotized for it to succeed. Hence, hypnosis is based on an increased suggestibility of a person or patient in the sense that they have to be willing participants. So let me explain it in order for us to make sense of it. Hypnosis. In which phase would you say a person needs to consult a hypnotist? What do you understand about hypnosis? Before I explain it, your understanding of the concept hypnosis. When they're saying someone is hypnotized, you need to consult a hypnotist. What comes into your mind? Hypnotized.
Someone that can read your mind.
Or someone that can read your mind.
Yes.
Okay, nice try. You are close.
I think it's when your mind is something that is, there's something that is controlling you.
Something that is in controlling you.
Yeah, you're doing things that you don't want to do, or you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Nhlonipho. Thanks, Nhlonipho. Nice one. Another one, Nhlonipho says, when someone is controlling your mind. Monao says someone can read your mind. Nhlonipho says when someone is controlling your mind, that is hypnosis. I think we have in Zibusiso.
The state whereby the hypnotizer has less control of his or her brain activity.
Is the state whereby the hypnosis has less control. The state whereby the person has less control of his body and mind. Nice ones. Thanks, guys. That's what you need to do. This is what we need to participate. Nice try, guys. Your answers are making sense. Let me break it down to hypnosis. Munhao says someone can read your mind. Zibusiso said is the process whereby the hypnosis gets your mind, control your body movement, your mind. Then Nhlonipho said is the process of controlling. So we are there. Hypnosis. Let me just break it down to you. Let's assume that at your age, let's say you are around 25, 30 years old of age, something is affecting you psychologically, but you are not sure what happened. There are those challenges that you experience now and again. You find yourself unable to face the crowd, to win a crowd. You find yourself perhaps hating men or women. You find yourself hating darkness, but you can't recall what's the cause of this. You're uncomfortable with certain things psychologically, but when we ask you the roots of the problem, it's difficult for you to open up. That this happens because of 1, 2, 3. It's difficult for you to open up. So the information is hidden in your brain. It's unconscious information that is affecting you. Normally what they'll do, perhaps the issue happened during your childhood, but you can't record it. At times, you telling your mind not to record that information. Maybe the information is so intense, you don't even want to think about it. You're trying to forget it, but it keeps on coming back. But it's difficult for you to express it to other people. Firstly, they will refer you perhaps to a psychologist. The psychologist will try to probe, get into your mind, but it's difficult again for you to express yourself. It's challenging. Then the psychologist later, after several meetings, several consultations, the psychologist is a no man. This person needs to consult a hypnotist or needs to be in a process of being hypnotized in order to retrieve this information. Then they refer you to the hypnotist. The hypnotist needs to work with you in order to retrieve this information. That's where it starts. Let's look at the definition of the hypnosis to break it down. Now we are in the hypnosis. The hypnotist tries to assist you in retrieving the information, remembering this information, or assist you to express yourself. Hypnosis is a definition given to a situation in which people's behavior are involuntary or hypnotic. Remember, it's difficult for you to remember this information. Once you get to the hypnosis, the hypnotist will try to assist you to remember the information through demonstration. You need to behave in a certain way, involuntary or being hypnotic, in order to show what will happen. They also do this in movies. They say situations in which people's behavior are involuntary or hypnotic. Once you go to the hypnotic, they will push you to behave in a certain way. They will suggest things to you. When you watch movies like, I forgot those movies, but they put you in a situation whereby they put a lion. They put a lion unconsciously. They say, imagine that you are faced with a lion. How would you manage the situation? How will you solve the problem? How will you move away from the situation? Imagine that there are certain people that are attacking you. How do you handle it? Imagine that you're in a crowd. There are 1,000 people around you, perhaps singing or dancing. You are afraid. How would you manage the situation? So they put you in a situation and ask you questions and suggest to you how can you manage them. As situations in which people's behavior are involuntary. When they say involuntary, like you mentioned both Nhlonipho and Zibusiso, they say they control you. Your behavior is involuntary, meaning you are not doing something consciously, but they control you. They suggest questions to you. How does hypnosis work? They say this is done through the process of increased suggestibility. This is done in a process called increased suggestibility in the context of a special relationship between the person and the hypnosis. So this is you as a person, this is the hypnosis. By suggestibility, increased suggestibility, they mean the hypnosis will manipulate you to do something. Then they say involuntary. Will control you to do something. Ask a question, you need to respond. When they say walk, you need to walk. You are in control. The hypnosis controls your behavior in order to get to something. Remember, you are unconscious. They're trying to retrieve that bad memories. If not bad memories, unconscious factors that happens perhaps when you were a kid. Through increased suggestibility. Increased suggestibility is suggestion. Suggestibility comes from suggestion. Through questioning. This is through questioning, through demonstration. They say, do this, do that. How do you manage the situation? They ask you, you respond unconsciously. Most of the response that you answers during this increased suggestibility, during hypnosis and the person, most of the response, they write them down. They jot them down. Meaning you are in a relationship, however, you are not in control. The hypnosis is in control, trying to get something from you. It's like talking from sleep. Hypnosis is like talking from sleep. You are asleep, but talking is more like hypnosis. Some people believe that when a person talks from sleep, you need to respond back. The person will respond. When the person laughs during sleep, you need to laugh back and start a conversation. The person will respond unconsciously. I don't know how true is that. But it is more like hypnosis. You respond, you do things unconsciously. Then the hypnosis, now and again, will increase suggestibility, questioning, suggesting things that you need to do in order to get to the problem. Hypnotized people can walk around and respond to things in the real world. You see, hypnotized people can walk around and respond to things around the world. Hence, I say to you, if let's say you are afraid of what men due to sexual assault when you were young, but it's difficult to remember and you want to get rid of this bad spirit, bad memories. Hypnosis in this instance, they say you respond to things around the world. You put you in a situation that perhaps that is similar and how to handle it. Because now you are under the hypnosis will suggest things. Perhaps beat up the person. Are you able to beat up the person? Run. Is there any in nearest police station? They suggest things, then you do them. You see a lion or the dog. You're afraid of dogs because we once bitten by a dog when you're young. Now you extremely fear the dogs. In the hypnosis, they will make you imagine, put you in a situation where you can see a dog. Then how would you be able to handle the situation now? Yes, it affected you when you're young. How do you manage now? Hypnotized people can walk around, respond to things. The person has to be willing to be hypnotized. They say, in order for a person to be hypnotized, you have to be willing participants. You can go to the hypnosis. Maybe your parents take you, or your hubby takes you, or people are forcing you to go there, or you suggest to go there. However, if you are not willing, hypnosis won't happen. There won't be increased agility. There won't be any involuntary movement because your mind is stiff. You are not ready yet. You need to be willing to be part of the process. The person has to be willing to be hypnotized for it to succeed. You have to be willing to be hypnotized. Once you are willing, it's like Dr. Phil says, the first step to recover is to admit that you have the problem. If you don't admit that you have the problem, there's nothing you can do. When a person is smoking nyaupe, now and again you force the person to go to rehab. The person goes to rehab, comes back after 6 months. Within a week, the person goes back to sleep. It means that the person was not willing to get help. So you need to be willing to be hypnotized in order for hypnotists to work with you effectively. So they say hence hypnosis is based on increased suggestibility of the person or patient, in the sense that they have to be willing participants. If you're not willing, it's difficult for you to be hypnotized. I hope you are clear. That's the understanding of hypnosis. When you're experiencing some trauma, however, it's difficult for you to remember the patterns. It's difficult for you to move on. It's difficult for you to even remember an unconscious barrier. You need to think about it. You need to be part of the problem. Then that's when you're able to deal with it. That is a form of hypnosis. And the question is, hypnosis. What hypnosis can do? The question is what hypnosis can do. Hypnosis produces relaxation from study material. They say hypnosis can produce relaxation. In order for you to be hypnotized, you need to be relaxed, hence willing. Relax your mind so that to allow the hypnosis to go into your mind. For psychologists to go into your mind, you need to be in a relaxation zone. You need to an ability to concentrate. You need to be concentrate, temporary change. There are temporary changes in behavior. Once you're hypnotized, you are relaxed, concentration, temporary changes in behavior due to suggestibility. The more the hypnosis suggests things, there will be temporary changes in your behavior, how you manage the situation then and how you manage the situations now. Meaning hypnosis puts you unconscious things into conscious level. If things are unconscious, hypnosis will assist to put them into conscious level. Another use of hypnosis is post-hypnotic suggestion. What is post-synaptic suggestion? Which refers to the suggestion to do or experience something in a particular after coming out of hypnosis. So they say, once you come out of hypnosis, they need to test whether hypnosis has worked. If there's a success during the process. Remember, first the you are being hypnotized. That's a during hypnosis. Then post-hypnotic suggestion refers to the suggestion to do or experience something in a particular way after coming out of hypnosis. During hypnosis, they ask you a question in hypnosis. The hypnosis suggests things to you. Then after that, you are conscious now. They're trying to see if you still remember what happened. How can you manage the situation now that it's a reality? You are more conscious now. They ask you perhaps the same questions. They put you in a similar situation to see how do you manage that situation. Perhaps if you're afraid of a crowd, they put you in a crowd. The hypnosis does the same thing, suggests things that you need to do to see if the hypnosis will work effectively. So it's it's during hypnosis, post, after the hypnosis. Now you're more cautious, you're more clear. You do things voluntarily. The increased availability, the hypnosis do this. How can you manage this? How do you think you can handle the situation? Then you practically you do those things. That is post-hypnotic. That happens after you've been hypnotized to determine if the hypnosis has worked. I hope it's clear. Then they break it down by saying one of the established effects of hypnosis is to decrease pain. One of the suggestibility, they say hypnosis produces relaxation, concentration, and temporary changes. They also say it decreases pain. How does it decrease pain? For example, some people can have a dental surgery under hypnosis and feel no pain. Pain has both sensory and emotional components. Hypnosis does not prevent the body from experiencing pain. Then the sensory component, but alter the emotional component so that the person does not feel pain. A hypnotized person may say that he or she feels no pain, but in fact, their body symptoms are in pain. So let me give you an example here. When you are doing an operation, it depends on your homeostasis, how your blood pressure, how your level of blood, your rate of your blood pressure, your heart rate, we are different. Some people, when they are operated, depends on the type of operation. Some may apply certain medication, certain injection that will make you unconscious, sleep while they are doing operation. However, the operations like when you are doing circumcision, males will relate to it. When you are doing circumcision, they don't inject you in order to lock down your consciousness or to sleep. Nowadays, they just inject straight direct to your penis. They put injection direct to your penis. Suddenly, the senses are collapsed for that particular moment. Then you can see when they operate you. You can see when they cut your skin. You can see blood. However, you're not experiencing any pain. Same applies to when they are removing your teeth. They apply certain medication through injection, then they take your teeth. They associate this process with hypnosis. However, they explain to you that hypnosis decreases pain. How does it decrease pain? They say to you, remember, you have sensory. Sensory is a receiving part. Sensory, when I pinch you right now, you'll feel pain. When I slap you, you'll feel pain. That is true sensory. So the injection that they put the dental, the surgeon, the injection that they insect on you, that drug, they say it paralyzes your sensory neuron. Your sensory nerve is paralyzes your sensory neuron. Hence, if they pinch you, they can even slap you without feeling pain because they've collapsed They've collapsed the sensory neuron. You can't feel anything. Yes, they can even remove your leg without you feeling a pain. You'll feel the pain afterwards. So that drug paralyzes what? The sensory. You can't feel anything that goes in. Then they break it down to you. They say, not that you are not experiencing pain. However, the injection has collapsed the pain sensors. The injection has collapsed the pain sensors so that you cannot feel any pain. Through the process, that process they call it part of hypnosis. They collapse certain body parts, sensor neurons, so that you cannot feel a pain until in the later stage. That's where you can feel a pain. They say hypnosis produces relaxation, concentration, temporary changes, and also assists in decreasing pain, particularly during operation, during surgery. Then we move to what hypnosis cannot do. What hypnosis cannot do. This is what hypnosis can do and what hypnosis cannot do. They say hypnosis does not prevent the body from experiencing pain. This is what I was explaining now. Hypnosis does not prevent body from experiencing pain. When they put the injection, your body experiences pain. How do you see that your body experiences pain? That's why when they operate you, there are machines like EEG. There are machines around you. They plug, at times there's a drip. Some wires around you, attached to your veins, to your chest, to coordinate what to regulate your movement, to monitor the movement of your lungs, your heart. So let me explain it again. Hypnosis does not prevent the body from experiencing pain. How do we see that your body is experiencing pain? When I pinch you, or when I hit you, or when you're experiencing something, normally your temperature goes high, meaning your high blood pressure goes high. We can determine it through what? These machines. The more we operate you, we can see that your heart blood pressure is high, meaning you're experiencing pain, even though you cannot feel it physically, but your body is reacting. Heart rate is high. Blood pressure is high. High blood, like I've said, is high. Your brain is active. They can see it through the machines. However, you cannot feel anything. That's why they say hypnosis does not prevent the body from experiencing pain, meaning your body is experiencing pain, but because your sensory, the one that received the information from your body, it has been collapsed. You cannot feel anything. So during circumcision, they can operate you, like I said, put injection. You can see the blood is flowing around your private parts. However, you don't feel anything. That's why they encourage this process to be done by professional doctors in a healthy institutions, because they have the mechanism. They can even see if your heart rate is too much, what they can do if your high blood pressure is too high. Perhaps they can put another injection, or they can allow you to drink some form of medication during the operation. So the body does experience pain, but you cannot feel it. How do they determine if your body experiences pain? They determine through your high blood pressure, blood flow, your heart rate, and your breathing rate. That's how they monitor it. If it's too high, they put another injection to monitor it so that you won't collapse during this process. Hypnosis cannot make you strong. There are some assumptions that hypnosis makes you strong, particularly in the Chinese movies. In the Chinese movies, they hypnotize you and they say it makes you strong. No, hypnosis cannot make you strong. Hypnosis cannot improve your memory. There are some suggestions that hypnosis can improve your memory. No, it cannot improve your memory. So let me read it from the text from your study notes. They say, you may have read about speculator claims of the power of hypnosis. You have read some suggestion about hypnosis. If you look at this carefully, they often turn out to be less than dramatic than they claim to be. So they say most of the suggestion, the assumptions about hypnosis, they are more dramatic, things that they don't exist. They say, for example, they give an example how people exaggerate hypnosis. For example, people under hypnosis claim to become so strong that they can be suspended between two chairs with their head. To see this, for example, people under hypnosis, but to see it in Chinese movies. In actual fact, many people do this without hypnosis. You can do this without hypnosis. There is no evidence that hypnosis empowers people to do anything that could not be done otherwise if you are sufficiently motivated. The claim is often made that hypnosis can improve your memory. No, hypnosis cannot improve your memory. However, through increased suggestibility, you do things. Hypnotized person are highly suggestible when told that they remember more than before. They are highly suggestible when they are told. Due to suggestibility, that's how people are able to do certain things. Not through their memory, they're able to do certain things. That helps them to, when they encounter that situation again, they can manage it better without even remembering their past. It's through increased suggestibility. The general response to new information, they say the general response to new information that is not correct. In other words, the information is not remembered as such. Instead, other information is produced. research studies indicate that most of the new memories produced under hypnosis are false. However, they assist on how to manage the situation better, to be able to given an opportunity to come across the situation, how do you manage it? That is what hypnosis cannot do. Then we move to, is hypnosis an altered state of consciousness? That's a question. Is hypnosis an altered state of consciousness? Some psychologists suggest that hypnosis is a special state of consciousness characterized by the great need of suggestibility. Hypnosis is a special state of consciousness characterized by the greater increased suggestibility. Hypnosis is not an altered state of consciousness. Then they answer you. Hypnosis is not an altered state of consciousness. It's not an alternative of consciousness. However, it's through suggestibility. The more you suggest, the more the person manages to handle his or her emotions, his or her thoughts, behavior. That is hypnosis. Then we have what? The effect of drugs. Before we move to the effect of drugs, let me get questions from you. Questions and suggestions. So does it make sense? They say what? The effects of psychoactive drugs. The last part of the discussion. The effects of psychoactive drugs. We have what? Stimuli. The different type of drugs. Stimuli. Hydroactive drugs are chemicals that bring about changes in our mood. So these are chemicals that bring changes in our mood, thinking, perception, behavior by affecting the activity of neuron in the brain. We start with stimulants. Stimulants increase alertness, boost energy and activity, produce pleasant feeling. For example, through amphetamine, cocaine, and caffeine. This is a simple example of we are studying, we get exhausted, then we drink what? Coffee or plus to increase alertness, to boost your energy. So these energy drinks, they say cocaine, amphetamine. So amphetamine and cocaine, mostly you'll find that artists drink them because they have to perform now and again. They get exhausted. Their booking fee is 100,000. You are booked from Friday, you dance for hours. Saturday, you dance for hours. Sunday again, you have been booked. Then they find it challenging to manage all these bookings. They are tired. That's why some of them, they end up taking drugs. To get some stimulation, to boost some energy. Stimulants increase alertness, boost energy for study purposes. They call them stimulants. Then we have depressant, which is an opposite of stimulant. Depressant, opposite of stimulant, depressing. Depressant, when they say you are depressed, meaning your emotions are down, you are at your low level. Then they say depressant. Depressant drug, meaning they relaxes you. Depressant decrease your level of arousal. Example of depressant here is alcohol. Alcohol, you lose your senses, you become numb. Some people say alcohol gives you energy, gives you strength, and you find people fighting after drinking. They are brave after drinking alcohol. They say depressant decrease arousal level. Alcohol, tranquilizer. Tranquilizer, that is normally what game rangers, the hunters use to collapse the animal. You see a lot injection when they want to operate an animal. Then they shoot tranquilizer. The animal becomes dizzy, unable to focus, unable to concentrate, low level of arousal. They cannot fight back. Then they operate an animal. Then there's narcotics. Narcotics as well as optic drug. Narcotics, you think of cigarettes. Most people will smoke cigarettes just to relax their senses. You feel like you're tired, let me take a cigarette just to relax. Let me read it from your recommended book to break it down. Why alcohol? They say Many people think that alcohol is a stimulant because people who drink are often. Many people think that alcohol is a stimulant because people who drink it often talk loud and act in a more extroverted way. However, alcohol works by depressing the activities of the nervous system. It facilitates the effect of gamma. This inhibits neurotransmitter in neurons. Its primary a relaxant, moderate dose can reduce tension, but it can also impair the memory and judgment. They say in large amount, when you drink too much, in large amount, it can increase aggression, risk-taking behavior, mainly to decrease the fear and anxiety. So let me sum it up for you. They say alcohol. Most people, when they drink alcohol, when you drink too much alcohol, the alcohol remembers a drug. They say it alters against certain hormones, certain activities in your brain. Your body needs what? In order for your mind to work effectively, in order for your spinal cord to work effectively, your mind needs what? Needs oxygen and glucose to work effectively. Imagine if you consume too much alcohol, your mind at that particular moment won't get enough circulation of what? Of glucose as well as oxygen. Alcohol, that's where alcohol dominates your system, your body. That's where alcohol dominates your nerves, meaning certain nerves will collapse. That's what they're saying. Certain nerve senses will collapse. Same as applies to hypnosis. When they hypnotize you, sensory nervous system are collapsed, are paralyzed. You cannot feel anything. Same applies to alcohol. You want to drink alcohol, certain memories collapse, certain chemicals in that particular moment are too concentrated with alcohol. They say one of the things that happen within your body, your fear, they lower down fear, they decrease fear. You become less anxious, you become less stressed when you are drunk. It drops down anxiety, it drops down fear. Then you want to fight. You start saying you can beat anyone and serve mood. You start saying those words. If there's someone that you all along you wanted to confront, it's a good opportunity, it's a good time to confront a person because you are drunk. If you're an introvert, suddenly you're an extrovert because of alcohol. Then boom, they beat you up. Tomorrow you wake up with one eye. Then we remind you did 1, 2, 3, but no, I didn't. Meaning you have lost consciousness. Fear, you have managed to decrease fear with your alcohol. You have decreased anxiety. That's what alcohol does. You will find people, especially men, there's a woman that you want to confront. When they are sober, through butterfly in the stomach, they can't confront a person because they're more cautious. Anxiety is high, they fear. Once they drink alcohol, they approach every lady in front of them. They start speaking truth. That's alcohol for you. Then tranquilizers, I explained tranquilizer, the one they use to lower down the animal arousal in order to operate the animals. Narcolepsy, you think of, you use cigarettes. Then the hallucinogen. Hallucinogen are drugs that bring about distorted sensory experience. Hallucinogen are drugs that bring about distorted sensory experience. Sorry about that. People who take hallucinogenic drugs have intense sensory experiences, can enter dreamlike states such as LSD, marijuana, and ecstasy. So people who smoke marijuana, LSD, and ecstasy, they say they experience what? Distorted sensory experience. E.g., it depends your hormones, how you are used to it. When you smoke marijuana, you become, they say dreamlike state. You become in a dreamland, your own zone, imaginations. Your own zone is nice to be there. You can only see, it is you can only see where you are. they say that it's a dreamlike state. When you inhale, you take ecstasy, same happens. You are in a dreamlike state. Some of the people even laugh. Once you smoke, you laugh. You're the only person that can see a joke. You laugh. Ecstasy will create imaginations. You see yourself performing. Then they say you're hallucinating, you're hallucinogen. They say it distorts your sensory experience. It confuses, in short, it confuses your sensory experience. Because you're in your dreamland. Hallucinogen. Then inhalants. Inhalants are substances that produce a sense of intoxication when they are inhaled by sniffing through nose, mouth, for example, glue, cleaning fluid, and paint. Inhalants. Inhalants can be through your nose or your mouth. Inhaling glue, smoking, normally we say smoking glue, but the proper word is inhaling glue because there's no smoke. Smoke, there's fire. So you're not smoking glue, but you're inhaling glue. Inhalants are substances that produce a sense of intoxication when they're inhaled through the nose or mouth. You normally see, particularly homeless people, because it's cheaper, it lasts long, they use glue to stimulate their mind. Also, cleaning fluids. When you use certain cleaning fluids or cleaning companies, you'll see them wearing gloves. If not gloves, they put a cleaning mask on their mouth to protect them from inhaling the cleaning product, the cleaning fluids. They use protective mask. Also paint. Professional painters, perhaps hired by a company working in certain organization, they know that when you paint, you need to cover your nostrils and mouth because the paint can drag you. You can collapse from it. And you need to put again protective gears when you're painting. You'll see when a formal company hired to work in a construction company, in a construction, they always have those masks because it's a must. Now and again, there'll be safety precautions. Once the person collapses, you need to pay. So they're trying to avoid things like that. You make sure that you are protected, you are safe. Because you are monitored again. Now and again, there'll be inspectors. If they find you not wearing a mask when you're working, who takes a fine? Perhaps the project manager or the owner of the company. So you need to put these things to avoid intoxication. The last one, chronic drug effects. The effect of drugs, they say chronic drug effects have an initial desirable effect, such as excitement, relaxation. Nonetheless, these drugs wear out as they leave the brain, experiences withdrawal effects. So this is just a general. They say the use of drugs, the chronic use of drugs, meaning you have used the drugs for a period for long. You have used the drugs for long. At first, the drugs are desirable effects. They produce a desirable effect. First time when you're smoking, you feel good. Until in the later stage, you can see that no, smoking is not good for me. It's affecting perhaps my lungs, my voice, the bad smell. Now I want what? To leave alcohol, to stop smoking. That's where the challenge comes in. At first, it's a desirable effect. It produces excitement and relaxation. Nonetheless, these drugs wear off as it leaves the brain and experiences withdrawal effects. So that's a challenge. When you experience what? Withdrawal effects. You drink now, it's nice, you are partying, tomorrow it's hangover. That's a challenge. They say they wear off as they leave the brain. Remember, you take them in the later stage, they need to move out from the system. They need to move out from the system. It's a challenge. That's where you experience what? Withdrawal effects. So that's it for today. State of consciousness, state of sleep and consciousness. Perhaps you're asking yourself, why do we discuss the state of consciousness? Why is it as aspiring psychologists, They have social work, behaviorist. Why do we have to study topics like the state of consciousness? We need to, they are important in your field. Now and again, you'll be seeing clients. Clients will come to you and say, I'm experiencing insomnia, but I don't know what's the problem. You need to intervene as a psychologist. Some will come to you and say, I can't stop drinking. Rehabilitation process. I can't stop using drugs. You need to be, they go to SADAC, the drug, the institution for rehabilitation, alcohol use, substance abuse, drug abuse, they take you, they will find psychologists. Meaning you need to be familiar with the drug use, the effects of drugs. You need to be familiar with the sleeping patterns. You need to be familiar with the unconscious being. Remember, a person is both consciously, is the conscious being and unconscious being. The unconscious being mostly is the one that affects people. It's either is unconscious because they don't know, or they don't want to remember it or talk about it. In this case, it challenges their external, it affects their behavior. Here's the importance of it, the state of consciousness. Remember, you have how many? 50 multiple choice questions. 50 multiple choice questions, PYC 1501, and how many chapters do you have? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You have 10 chapters. Yeah, approximately 10 chapters if they didn't cancel some. 50 questions. Normally what they do, human nervous system, because it's the most important part of the module, they might give you 15 questions under human nervous system. They give you another 10 under sensation and perception. Then the rest, it will depend. It might say 5 under the state of consciousness, 5 under intelligence, 5 under emotions and memory, 5 under cognitive. Meaning you don't have a choice but to study everything in the as recommended by the lecturers. If they say study human nervous system, study everything under human nervous system according to their guideline. You study anything under sensation according to the guideline, because you never know what will come out. Imagine a chapter is 10, one chapter is how many? Has 10 pages. However, only 5 questions will come up from the 5 pages. So it's difficult to predict which questions will come out. However, I always advise my students to do the assignments. You do your assignment for first semester and you also do assignment for second semester. In order for you to master the content, you do both the assignment for first semester, assignment for second semester. You do the self-reflection. The assignment 3, you will refer them to self-reflection. You do those self-reflection in order to at least minimize studying hard.